Thomas the Wooden Tank Engine and Friends, Wooden Railway Stories, Season 1, Episode 1, Thomas's Day at the Docks. Thomas is a small blue tank engine. He works on the Fast Controllers Railway. He has many friends who all respect him. He has 6 small blue wheels and 2 number 1s painted yellow on either side of his boiler. He has a funnel which helps him to puff steam, a boiler which helps him to make the steam, and a cab where his driver and fireman can control him. He also has his own 2 coaches called Annie and Clarabelle. He got them after he helped James with an accident on his first day. The Fast Controller then rewarded Thomas with his own 2 coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, and his very own branch line. Gordon, James, Edwin and Percy were all talking at Tidmouth Sheds when Thomas arrived. He was tired after taking many passenger trains that day. "Oh," sighed Thomas, "I hope I get the rest of the day off." But unfortunately, the Fast Controller arrived. He spoke to Thomas. "Thomas," he said, "I need an engine who can help Salty at the docks. There's many deliveries to make, and there's not enough help. Will you help, please?" "Yes, sir," sighed Thomas. He wanted a day off, but he didn't mind working at the docks. "That's a good engine," said the Fast Controller. And he left. Thomas," said Gordon, "the Fast Controller said he had an important job for you, but then he told you to go to the docks. What's that mean?" Thomas was confused. "What do you mean, what's that mean?" he said. "Well," said James, "the Fast Controller said you had an important job, but he told you to go to the docks. How is that important?" Edward and Percy were cross. They were Thomas's friend. "Any job," said Edward, "is important." "What, like being a back engine?" said Gordon. "A back engine is very important," said Edward. "That's why I am a back engine." "That's why you haven't taken a passenger train for years, isn't it?" said James. While his friends argued, Thomas puffed away. At the docks, there weren't many trucks. Thomas was confused again. "Salty," he said, "the Fast Controller said there were lots of trucks and deliveries here. Where are they all?" "Oh," said Salty, "they're coming. We've loaded most of them, though." Thomas looked next to him. There were 2 trucks loaded with fish, and many more in the sidings. Cranky the crane was just lowering a car onto a flatbed. The dockyard manager arrived. "There you are, Thomas," he said. "I need you to help Salty construct a goods train with these trucks." "Yes, sir," said Thomas. So Thomas backed up to one lot of the fish vans. And coupled them to the other fish trucks in the sidings. And while he did that, Cranky lowered another package onto a flat truck. And Salty collected the trucks from the other siding. And shunted them into the station. Thomas was still very confused. The Fat Controller, he thought, said that there were lots of trucks and deliveries, but there's only two different trains that me and Salty have shunted together. But there'll be plenty more coming soon, said Salty. And indeed there was. Arthur arrived with two flatbeds. Is that all? Said Thomas. No, said Arthur. Other engines are going to bring other trucks for you to shunt for Murdoch's goods train. Goodbye. And Arthur hurried away to continue with his jobs. No sooner had Thomas shunted the flatbeds into a siding did Stephanie arrive with some more trucks. Surely Murdoch will be able to pull more than 4 trucks, said Thomas. He can, said Stephanie. This is just the second load. There's lots more coming later for him. Stephanie puffed away too. Thomas then shunted those trucks into the flatbeds as well. And then Duck arrived with 4 more trucks. Bust my buffer, said Thomas. Now this goods train will be very long. That it will, said Duck, and he puffed away. Goodbye. Goodbye, called Salty. Are we going to be expecting any more trucks? Said Thomas. Nope, said Salty. These 3 trucks here are the last lot. So we've got to make a goods train with 2 flatbeds, 2 cattle trucks, 2 coal trucks, a pipe truck, and a petrol wagon. And, said Salty, 2 car transporters, and another cargo car. Well, said Thomas, let's get to work. Well, Thomas began work with Murdoch's goods train. Salty had brought 2 brake bands. Then Thomas and Salty coupled them up to the 2 goods trains. While Thomas and Salty were talking in the sidings, Henry arrived to collect the fish trucks. They were for his flying kipper. And Murdoch arrived to collect the goods train. You've done a wonderful job. Well done, said Henry. That'll show Gordon and James that work at the docks is an important job, said Murdoch. That's right, said Salty. Thomas had completely forgotten about how Gordon and James had made fun of him earlier. I shall rub it in their faces when I get back to the sheds tonight, he said. And with that, Thomas puffed away. That night, Thomas and his friends were all talking again. The Fat Controller arrived again. I heard all about your day at the docks, Thomas, he said, and I'm very pleased with you. You shall work at the docks more often. Salty told me that you didn't complain, and Henry and Murdoch were able to complete their jobs on time. Once again, you are a really useful engine. Thank you, sir, said Thomas. You see, said Edward to Gordon and James, working at the docks is an important job after all. But helping friends, said Thomas, is the most important thing of all. And everyone agreed.